My name is Julia Morrow, and I was born in 1980. I was born in Libertyville, Illinois at Condell Hospital, which happened to be the same hospital that both of my kids were born in. I didn't grow up in Libertyville. I grew up in a town called Antioch, which is also in Illinois, and that is where I moved to when I was 8. Growing up in Antioch was pretty good. That was the first time in my life I had lived in an actual house. We moved there when I was 8 from a town called Lake Bluff, which is where I lived for a long time. We lived in an apartment. But when we moved to Antioch, it was really different from what I was used to. We lived right across the street from a big lake, and we didn't own a boat, but in the wintertime we would go ice skating. So I'd clear off snow off of the lake and I'd go ice skating. In the summertime we would jump off the pier and go swimming. And I just walked to my friends' houses like all around the town because it was a pretty small town. When I moved there, there was only, I think, about 4,000 people that lived there. And now, like, if I went back to visit, there'd be probably over about 20,000. So it's still relatively small compared to McKinney, but it had grown a lot when I was a kid. So school was pretty average, I guess. I went to grade school in Antioch, and then I went to middle school there, and I also went to high school there. So what I look back on now, when I think about how school was growing up, I feel like it was pretty cool because I had all the same friends. So kids I knew in 3rd grade, I knew when I graduated from high school. And as I've gotten older, I have come to realize that that's not a lot of the time the case for a lot of people. So I thought that that was really neat that I had friends for such a long period of time. My best friend and I met actually for the first time when we were in kindergarten, which is kind of random because we met when we were, I went to a Catholic Catholic school in kindergarten, and her name is Sarah, and we both went to the same school. And then I didn't meet up with her again until 4th grade. We randomly ended up going to the same grade school, and we just stayed best friends all the way up until, a few years ago, really. So that's when we met. The first thing that comes to mind when I think about what my family and I did together to have fun was we went on road trips. So we didn't have a lot of money when I was growing up, and so when we went on vacation we would drive there. And the longest trip we went on that I can remember was when we drove from Illinois to Arizona, and we stayed in the Grand Canyon. We camped there for 2 weeks. So we went to the bottom of the canyon and we camped there, and we just hiked, and we just walked around the canyon and cooked out, and that's the kind of stuff we did when I was a kid. And at home, we would, once a week, my parents would get takeout, and we would watch Beverly Hills 90210 or Melrose Place, or both. And so we did that as I got older, and we watched that every week, and it was just, when I think about it, it was just really fun and just kind of silly stuff we did. So one of the things I remember what I wanted to be when I grew up was I wanted to be a screenplay writer. For a pretty long time, actually. I thought at one point prior to this that I wanted to be an actress, but then I realized as I researched more about that type of career that I didn't really like to be in front of the camera. It makes me nervous. But screenplay writing I thought sounded really fun, and I love stories, I love reading, I loved just how movies were made, and I love watching movies. Just the whole process, it was always really intriguing to me. So I think for the longest period of time, that's what I wanted to be, was a screenplay writer. My first job was actually working at a video store when they still had videos on VHS. not on DVDs. I think it was called Hollywood Video, and I was 16, so I didn't get my first real job until I was actually 16 and I could drive myself there. But it was pretty fun. I mean, I got to rent all the movies I wanted, talk to people about movies, and I pretty much just helped people pick them out, so it's pretty good. So I met my husband at a bar. I met him at Monday Night Football. One of my friends and I went, we used to watch Monday Night Football at this like dive bar in the town of Antioch that I grew up in. And I met him when I was 22. No, I met him when I was 21. And he went there with one of our mutual friends, and we just started talking, and we went on a date a couple days later, and that was it. And then we got married about 8 months later. I start to think about the things that I'm really grateful for, and it gets my mind off like maybe what the difficult thing is that I'm going through. And then as time goes on, I can take that example and start to think about how I got through that last one, and they can just build upon each other. And I really think that going through some really difficult times in my life has made things that seem really difficult in the moment feel less significant, because I know that I'm here and my family's here, and that's really all that matters. My most prized possession is my stuffed animal named Cashew. So when I was first asked this question, it was the first thing I thought of, and I was kind of surprised, but out of all the things that I have, but this one means the most to me. And the reason why is when I was pregnant with Bryden's older brother, Carl, I had to have emergency surgery while I was still pregnant. I was 4.5 months pregnant, and it was terrifying, and everything turned out okay. But while I was recovering in the hospital, Carl's dad had brought me this teddy bear named Cashew, and it just made me feel safe and not so scared. And I've had it ever since. And as my kids have gotten, when they were younger, if they were scared, I let them sleep with Cashew. So we still have him. The advice I give you for your life, Ryden, is to never compromise who you are, what you believe in, what you value, even things that you enjoy doing, to never compromise who you are for anybody else. Stay true to yourself. It might not make a lot of sense right now, but when you're in those types of situations, just remember that. I also really, really advise to not get into debt, but still have fun. So make sure that you have priorities of how you spend your money, because as you get older, the more debt you have, the less ability you have to do the things that you enjoy. And the last thing is to surround yourself with people who bring you joy. Always be true to your friends, and again, just like don't compromise who you are for other people.